Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Welcome to 2019. I know we had our little recap video last week. All the user submitted photos and videos from our community brew. I think we can finally put that community brew to bed.
I think that one is.
Yes, it's now tucked in.
We all enjoyed it.
We did. We all enjoyed it.
It's 2019, time to roll on.
Move forward, and not look back. And we are looking forward to this dark beer masterpiece that's sitting here in front. At least that's, I think it is.
Interestingly, a week ago, we had someone ask about, hey, in 2019, how about Imperial Stout?
Let's talk about Imperial Stout.
There it is. We whipped one up.
Just threw it right together in 14 days or something. So, Mike, I think you might have alluded to this. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe it's hard to remember if it was on camera or if it wasn't. But I know that you had like a lot of ingredients. You might have mentioned this on some other social media channels, saying I'm putting together this
kitchen sink,
like leftover, all the different, the ingredients I have left over. It's all going into this beer. And what a better style to do that with, but an Imperial Stout. So, I'm going to taste and you're going to talk.
Awesome. So, this list of ingredients,
that's a long list,
is ridiculously long.
Yes.
We will find out if this beer is how good it is, but I will just say that if you're going to brew an Imperial Stout, don't do it this way.
Okay.
But there might be
number one.
There might be some lessons learned. So let me go through. So this was a kitchen sink stout. So my intent with this was I have a big grain box that had half a pound of this, half a pound of that. But I also suddenly realized in this box I had 3 pounds of this base malt, 7 pounds, right? Just a bunch of different base malts. So I eventually had enough of them. I just thought I can make one big honkin' beer. And use up all these specialty grains and just make a mess of it. So I decided I really just wanted to experiment with something equipment-wise, so I figured I would make a beer.
Okay.
And so I made this Imperial Stout, and I'm just going to give you the quick rundown.
So the tip not to do is
so I like simplicity in my recipes.
Yes.
But this is a kitchen sink recipe where I'm unloading the grain bin.
Okay.
So don't question the choices, just realize we're emptying the grain bin.
I'm listening.
Okay. So there were 2 pounds of Vienna.
Okay.
4 pounds 11 ounces of wheat malt. 3 pounds 10 ounces of an unknown light base malt. I have no idea what it was. I had a little over 2.5 pounds of raw pale ale malt.
Okay.
3 pounds of brewer's malt, which is great malt. Again, I had another 4 pounds, almost 6 pounds of an unknown two-row that had been pre-crushed.
I'm sure that was fresh.
5 ounces of melanoidin, 6 ounces of a chocolate, but a dark chocolate, 600 Lovibond chocolate.
Wow.
4.3 ounces of pale chocolate from Tom Fawcett. I had 1 pound, 9 ounces of some unknown crystal. It tasted like Crystal 80, Crystal 60 maybe, but 6 ounces of English brown malt, 4 ounces of Black Patent, 10 ounces of Black Prinz, which is wheat malt, right? Huskless wheat malt, 13 ounces of roasted barley, a pound of Crystal 60, 1 pound of flaked corn, because
cleaning it out.
And then 1 pound of flaked barley.
Wow.
I fermented this sucker with 1 package of USO5 and 1 package of SO4.
Okay.
Which was probably potentially under pitching, but you'll find out in a minute that it was okay. Now, my intent with this beer, making such a big stout, was that I figured it's in kegs now, and we're drinking it on draft, but I'm going to transfer it to bottles with the intention that I thought I would just let it age and let it go. So I really over-hopped it, although it doesn't really taste that right now, but I did 3 ounces of Warrior to bitter, which is tremendous.
Yeah.
Especially with all that the dark malt in there.
Yeah.
But it's not super bitter. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes left, I had 2 ounces of Willamette.
Yes.
Those went in. And that was it. Oh, then the other thing is, what isn't captured in the grain bill, 3 pounds of honey.
Oh.
Because I had some honey left over. And also, this thing also got 4 ounces of cocoa powder in it, because why not? I didn't have that in the grain bill. I actually went upstairs and grabbed it. I
was not in the grain box.
At this point, I was just like,
Yeah, why
who
not?
knows?
You've got
Who
honey
knows?
in there. You might as well throw in some.
Might
other
as well
stuff.
some of that in there. Yeah. So
So how many pounds was in your grain bill?
so
Do
the
you know?
total grain bill, yes, it'll say right here somewhere. Hold on, 33 pounds and 10 ounces of
Wow,
grain.
and
So
this
I used my full-on 15-gallon keggle
Yep.
as my mash tun.
Yep.
And that sucker was filled almost all the way to the top. I think I had some pictures on the Twitter feed, but if I can find one of those pictures, I'll put it in the video here. But it was really almost right to the top with that. For the sake of attenuation, I mashed this at about 148, 149.
Wow.
So I knew that I was going to be cruising for. I didn't want to have a super dextrinous beer, so I had a 90-minute mash. And on the keg system, I can recirculate the whole time. So I'm just recirculating. And the beauty of having such a big mash, actually, is it holds temperature really well, even in that stainless steel keg. But I have it wrapped with some of that Mylar bubble wrap stuff.
Yep.
What do they call that? Reflectix. So I had actually made a double layer of it. That's what I was testing with this recipe was, can I insulate this stupid mash tun? So that was that. So starting gravity. Beersmith told me that the starting gravity was going to be 1.131.
Wow.
And I was assuming 68% efficiency. I knew efficiency would be really garbage with such a big thing. But I ended up at 1.102.
That's great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
My final gravity was 1024. That's a tremendous amount of attenuation.
Yeah.
So that's how we end up with what I've termed, if you can see it in the back, this is Watch Out Stout.
Watch Out Stout.
At 10.5% ABV.
Yeah, and it doesn't even show. Like the warmth, like some of these bigger beers, you do get that alcohol warming sensation, and it's not there. It's sneaky. It's
Yeah.
really sneaky.
It's got to me a little bit some notes of Old Rasputin. That stout.
Yeah.
But I think mostly because there's a lot of dark malt
Yep.
flavor in there.
Yep.
Even though the grain bill's ridiculous, it could probably use another pound of crystal something
Oh, a little, yeah, sweeten
to
it out.
balance
Yeah,
it out.
Yeah.
I don't know what the flaked corn and the flaked barley are bringing to the party, but they're in there.
They're in there. They probably didn't bring too much. And then,
Yeah.
like, the honey doesn't.
The corn was probably like, no.
How dare you put me in with all these assorted characters? So, would you think like the 3 pounds of honey helped you to bring your?
Yeah, probably dry.
Yeah.
Serve to dry it
Yep.
out.
Yep. True that. So the notes I get, huge roasty
Yeah.
on the nose.
Just sitting in the glass, you can smell the
Yep,
roast.
lots of roast, and then it's not as it's definitely not as sweet as other big stouts. that
I
I've
was
had.
worried that there was going to be a sweetness quality to it that
And
was
it's
going to be
not
really
there.
off-putting. No.
And then warrior hops, as we've had in the past in other beers, mostly hop forward beers, doesn't it bring like sometimes it has like a minty taste?
Yep.
And like I have that. That's like a little note of that there,
Yep.
but it's not like spearmint gum mint. There's just a note of it.
Yeah,
it's there.
it's hard to it's hard to hack through the jungle of all that malt
Yeah.
character. What's interesting to me is that it's not like a terribly muddy
Nope.
malt profile.
No, there's
somehow.
yeah, it's pretty
like I think if
focused.
I think in whatever it is, like 16 malts. I think if it was 11 or 12 malts, it would be muddy. But once you push through that to the other side and get to 16 malts, you start coming back down to earth.
Maybe that's tip number 2. Just go.
Just go for it.
Yeah, don't stick with 5 malts. You got to
Yeah.
go with like 15.
Yeah. I just figured this was going to be something that I made, was going to be
We
like,
laugh about.
we laugh about,
You
we
pour it down
drink
the
it
sink.
one time and go, yay for the blog, and that's, but this is a winner, I think. Wow. When it gets in bottles
Yeah.
and we taste it year after year,
Yeah.
like at holiday parties or whatever, I mean, I think it's, I can't wait to see how it ages. It'll be great.
There's a sherry note that
Yep.
is starting there, and I wonder
It's
if
starting to
that'll
warm up a
come
little bit now.
through
Yep.
as time goes on and air gets to it. I don't know. Be interesting to
Yeah.
taste that over time.
I get a little bit of the earthiness per se of the Willamette at 20 minutes, which I think is nice.
Yep.
Because it is in there underneath all that rose character.
That's very nice. So is there a tip number
Somehow.
3? for Imperial Stout? Again, we've done videos using my stat equipment. Like you have to have something like you have to have the size to handle a grain bill like that. You're talking 33 pounds of different grain there. And
I still had more grain too. Like other stuff, I was like, all right, this is getting out of control.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Like if you don't have the equipment, either borrow it or buy it for this kind of like. Then there's other techniques, of course. We talked about that. Still have had mixed results with it. Trying those different techniques out, but I think that's tip number 3. You're going to make these big beers. You better be ready to capture all those pounds.
Yeah, so the other thing too, I don't know if it's in the notes here. So this is 45 quarts of water. So let's say that's like 11 something, over 11 gallons of strike water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I only need 8 gallons of
wort.
of pre-boil wort.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember, because I wasn't expecting to take notes on this thing, but basically my intent too was I'm just going to do a first runnings beer. So I think that's one of the reasons why the maltness is so rich, and not because I sparged it with, I think if I remember right, like only a few gallons just to help get my volume there where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But I didn't do like a traditional full-on sparge. When you get into this volume of grain, you can't really batch sparge effectively, because you know you're going to run off and basically be at your target gravity, and there is no way to, you know. Whereas if you're fly sparging, at least if you're slowly pushing through, you would collect, you probably got a better, more efficient. So this is where like batch sparging, I think, in mega beers like this sort of fails as far as efficiency goes.
Nope.
I don't have my calculated efficiency here, but on some other notes I have, I think it's like 50%. You know, but that's what you expect out of a first runnings beer.
And 6.5 gallons in the fermenter. That's his batch size. So from 8 gallons.
6.5 gallons post boil.
Yes, post boil.
And then like 5.5 makes it to the fermenter.
How long did you boil for?
I
60?
I only had 8 gallons, so down to 6.5 is for me is like 75-minute boil.
75 minutes.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep. Gallon and a
Wow.
half.
Well, let's pound like 6 more of these and do a few more videos.
Exactly.
Let's do them.
Yeah, then we'll hit the mead.
Jeez. I don't think that's going to happen tonight, son. All right, well, that's our video for Imperial Stout. Watch out, Stout, indeed.
A big beer for a big year.
Wow. Did you think about that like
all day? All day I've been trying to put it together.
I can't believe you just unleashed that onto the world. People are going to be saying that forever. All right, maybe not. Thanks a lot. This is really great.
It's tasty.
Watch out, Stout.
Watch out, Stout.
If you have other questions about Imperial Stouts, drop them in the comments below. We do this every week. We taste different beers. We talk about different equipment, that kind of thing. So if you're into that sort of stuff, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video if you liked it. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.
Wow.